Hello, race fans, and welcome once again to another high-octane episode of Trackside, proudly presented by Document Technologies. Document Technologies provides a comprehensive range of managed solutions, including multifunction devices, managed print services, and document management software. They're also known for their fast service, boasting an average response time of 2 hours or less, and offer high-quality product multifunction devices alongside document management and cloud hosting software. Stay tuned, racing enthusiasts, because the action starts right now, right here on Trackside.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is Friday, and it is time for Trackside. We're glad you're with us. I'm Terry Turner. Randy Dye, is that still you?
It is. I'm here.
You know, this probably doesn't happen to you, but as I get older, which we are doing, there are days I don't even recognize myself. Has that ever happened to you?
Oh, my gosh. Well, that I don't recognize you? Is that what you're, is that you're asking me if I don't recognize me?
Yeah, I'm saying sometimes I don't recognize myself, and I just wondered if that ever happened to you.
Do others recognize you?
Okay. All right. Well, that makes it clear. Here's Danica says that happens to her all the time.
Oh, so, my gosh. Yeah.
It makes me feel a lot better. No doubt about that.
Okay.
So. Well, I tell you somebody, Randy, that I do recognize, and that'd be Daniel Dye in the number 10. How about an 8th place finish at Indianapolis? I believe that is his 7th top 10 for this year, correct?
Yeah, I guess we could have a debate, but, you know, it would be like crying over spilled milk. It would be the 8th if it wasn't for the one that they disqualified us for. But, yeah, it was the 7th one in the record book, and I don't know what it is about Indy. He just sort of seems to he likes it. I think that's the first thing. He likes it. He's only ever raced there on the big track in a big car twice, and we've got 2 top 10s there. You know, I think we probably had a chance, honestly, at a top 5 had the race been able to stay green. Our car was way better on the long run than it was on the short run. But you know, I think it was pretty cool because, you know, we kind of have this little thing in Welcome, North Carolina there on the Richard Childress campus. You have the 2, the 21, the 48, and then you have the 10, the 11, and the 16. And so it was that was the 10. Daniel finished best among the Welcome cars, which felt pretty good for us. You know, it was a good rebound from a few tough races, and we know we were even better than we finished. If that race had not been interrupted with the rain, and then of course the wreck. That I'm sure we're going to talk about. I think we probably had a top 5 car. He just kept getting better and better and better the longer the race ran. So either way, it's great to finish in the top 10 in Indy, and of course that's behind you already, and you're off to Iowa we go.
Well, to finish top 10 in NASCAR is an accomplishment, especially 7 times, and then. You know, I'm just going to not say much, but under some circumstances, there probably would have been some more top 10s or better. But, you know, racing is racing. What was Daniel's average top speed at Indianapolis in the 10?
You know, I can't answer that. I don't know. I know it was. I know he outperformed. He outfinished the speed, which means he raced really well. But I think the qualifying speed was around 165 miles an hour, and so they ran laps that were about a half a second off of qualifying. So probably that would have been in the 162, 63 range.
Mm-hmm. Well, the next time I get a chance to talk to Daniel, I got to ask him, how does it feel in a car going that fast, and how does it feel going that fast at one of the most famous racetracks in the whole wide world? I mean, that's got to enter into a driver. I mean, I guess you've been there a bunch of times. It's not that big a deal, but in the early days of you being a driver at that track, that's got to feel kind of cool to be at that historic place. You know, that, and of course Daytona and Talladega, but what's it feel like inside that car going that fast on that famous track? But we'll have to get Daniel on to pick his brain a little bit. We hadn't had him on for a while, so.
It's odd. That place is very odd. He actually said to me later in the after the race, he said, I'm just mentally tired. And I said, why? He said the straightaway is so long that if you aren't careful, you lose focus, and you can't lose focus because once you get off the straightaway and you start with all the rest of that stuff, the short shoot and the turns, and he said it's a place you just got to pay attention to. And he says, believe it or not, the challenge is staying focused going down the straightaway. So he talked about that a lot and how big a deal that is. So we're real, we're happy, we're proud. I also want to give kudos to his the 16 car. They had some issues, and at one point we're way back in the 30th position or 32nd position, I think, and they brought that one home to, I believe, 13th. So that was pretty solid too for where they early in the race where they were, and they just kept working on it and got it back to 13th, not that far outside the top 10.
Exactly. Well, that's good news for the entire colleague team there, no doubt about it. So maybe some of the goofy stuff that has happened is behind us, Randy. What do you say?
I don't ever want to say stuff like that, man. I just want to go. Let's go race and have a good, clean race. I like Iowa. I think it's a good racetrack. It's a good racetrack to watch a race, and you can see it. The people in Iowa love the race there, the races, and we're excited about going out there. That's for sure. It's a bit of a haul, but this is the track that Rusty Wallace designed. Daniel likes the racetrack. He doesn't like the partial repave that they did, but all in all, he likes the racetrack.
I wonder if any baseball players from like the 40s will come out of the cornfield.
Yeah, here we go. Hey, it's a beautiful setting out there, by the way. It's really nice.
Oh, I can imagine. Randy, before we move off of Indy, I'm going to shift the story up from later in the program to now, since we're talking about Indianapolis and history of that track and et cetera. Fox Sports is buying a portion of the IndyCar series there, and also a third of the Penske Entertainment and of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So mission there is, of course, to expand the open wheel sport in the NTT IndyCar series, and they're going to do a lot of things to do that expansion. But I was kind of surprised to see this. So, Fox will have a portion of Penske Entertainment and of the racetrack. How about that?
Well, I think there's a lot to that. There's a lot going on. Just remind you that it wasn't that long ago that the NASCAR TV contract was signed. For the Cup Series and for the Xfinity Series, and I just think maybe this is an alternative.
Well, that's a thought. We'll keep an eye on it all.
I think it's tough. I think if you look at the IndyCar product, I don't think anybody can argue with the Indy 500 and all that comes with it. I mean, it's just spectacular.
Yep.
It really is a spectacle, and it's really viewed that way. And so, from my perspective, I think it's really, really, really cool. But the problem is that after the Indy race is done, there's just not a lot. There's just not a lot to pay attention to, and the field goes from 33 cars down to the low 20s, and it's just hard. It's just very hard, to watch and make it work. There's just not a lot of race cars. So, but I would say this as well. Roger Penske pretty much always succeeds. So, I'm sure that that's obviously the plan, and we'll see how it goes. I watched the Indy 500 that day in motorsports, with Monaco and Indy, and so obviously F1, Indy, and NASCAR all on the same day. That's a motorsports junkie kind of day. So I think it's interesting. I don't know that. I hate this. If Fox is going to own a piece of Indy, then it's probably going to not go well for that relationship with NASCAR. But we'll see. I mean, Roger Penske seems to do both pretty well, so we'll see what happens.
Well, and just a couple of the bullet points here on the release that I've got that Fox is, and based on what you've just now said, I mean, after the 500, there's not really an empty seat in the house for the 500, and that I don't know how many it holds, but it's a big place and holds a lot of folks. But after that, yeah, it's kind of not much going on. But Fox is saying they're going to do innovative and industry-leading racing and entertainment events, enhanced promotion and star-building opportunities for the NTT IndyCar Series, et cetera. So I guess their plan is to solve some of the issues that you've just addressed. We'll see.
Well, and I think somebody does need to do that. I think if it's going to succeed and it's going to get the attention, I mean, it's the same thing as saying the Daytona 500. Not everybody's going to be, not every racetrack's going to experience what the Daytona 500 brings. But there are several sold-out NASCAR races after the Daytona 500. And it's because they know how to do what you just mentioned. And if Fox decides that that's what they're going to do and they do that together, it's probably going to work.
Well, yep, we'll keep an eye on it, and seems like a good idea. We'll follow it, no doubt about that. With that, ladies and gentlemen, again, congratulations to Daniel Dye, because he's our local star, and let's do the local segment of Trackside.
One Daytona, located across from the world's center of racing, is proud to present our local segment, where we talk with a local star in your part of the country following a big win, event preview, and much more. One Daytona in Daytona Beach is a vibrant destination offering an array of shopping, dining, and entertainment options, including unique events and live music suitable for families and individuals alike.
Volusia Speedway Park off until it cools off a little bit. They'll be back for the Labor Day Classic Test and Tune, August 29th through the 31st. New Smyrna Speedway underway last Saturday night. Carson May gets the win in the E-Mod Series. In Superstocks, Rich Klauser gets that win. Bomber A, Stephen Brown. Bomber B, Zach Curtis. And in 602 Tour Mods, Shane Held. New Smyrna Speedway back underway Saturday night with the Pro Late Model Challenge Twin 50s, Pro Late Model Sportsman, Bomber Bs, and E-Mods. Five Flag Speedway in Pensacola back underway next Friday night with the Demolition Derby night. You'll also see Deep South Crane Super Late Models, Modified Mayhem Tour, Sportsman, Pure Stocks, and Crown Stocks. In NASCAR, an exciting weekend in Indianapolis in the Truck Series. The winner for that race, Lane Riggs. Xfinity Series, Connor Zilisch gets his third win in a row, his fifth overall, and a big celebration with Dale Jr. as JRM gets their 100th win in the Xfinity Series. In the Cup Series, Bubba Wallace gets his first Cup win. Congratulations to Bubba Wallace. The Truck Series takes the weekend off. They'll be back on Friday, August 8th at Watkins Glen. That's at 5 p.m. on Fox Sports 1. Xfinity Series this Saturday at Iowa, 4:30 on CW. And the Cup Series Sunday, also in Iowa, at 3:40 on the USA Network. All right, good stuff, and we're going to dig into a couple of those stories a little further as we go into the to the program, Randy. Lots to talk about on a couple of those. Bubba Wallace's win was a big one, and 100th win for Junior is incredible stuff. So we'll dig into that. Let's go ahead with that and roll into the truck section, and then we'll dig into these other stories. Here we go.
The Tough Trucks of NASCAR are next up on the agenda, presented by Aaron Delgado and Associates. With over 110 combined years of experience in criminal defense and personal injury, Aaron Delgado and Associates takes pride in vigorously representing clients in various challenging legal situations within the community. Now, let's go trucking.
Randy, we start off with a little bit tough news. Stuart Friesen was injured. Stuart Friesen, co-owner of the number 52 for the Halmar International organization, racing in Quebec in the Autodrome. And I saw some videos of that. You probably have as well, Randy, of that wreck. He has a broken pelvis and a broken right leg. He did go to the hospital there in Quebec, and now he's in the hospital in New York, where he will face multiple, his wife is telling us, surgeries. From the looks of the wreck, Randy, he's lucky to be here.
I think so. I've talked to, we raced with Stuart against him in the truck series, and we have a mutual friend, and I talked to him right away. And, I think here's the good news. The good news is that his back, his neck, and his head are all good. No head injury, no back injury, no neck injury. So that's really, really, really good. The pelvis, it'll heal. It's painful. It's one of the most painful parts of your body to go through this. And his leg, it'll heal up too. I think the question is going to be, we know we won't see him back in a race car this year. The question is going to be what he decides to do about this going forward. I don't know the answer to that, honestly. I just not sure what is he going to do. So we'll see. But you're right. I was just kind of scrolling the night that it happened, and there was a note that says praying for Stuart Friesen. I'm like, what? What did I miss? And then I found it, of course, the video, and that was violent. That was really violent. So you're right. It wasn't his time, and I'm glad he's still here. And all you can do at this point is just pray that it's a full recovery and as speedy as possible.
Well, that's a good point. Definitely thoughts and prayers for him to get back. He's been competitive. He has won the truck series, and I believe a third-place finish, and doing well behind the wheel of that truck for a small team. But, yeah, a very tough break. Again, we've had this discussion 1,000 times, and we know that these guys have racing in their blood, and they want to look at Kyle Larson, all the different types of racing he does. I don't know. It just makes you wonder, hey, should we just focus when we realize how safe all the vehicles are, trucks, Xfinity, Cup, ARCA, all of it for NASCAR, very, very safe. They've gone the extra mile, especially since we lost Dale, to make those cars safe. Some of the other cars on dirt, especially, they're safe, but typically when you see an accident like we saw with Stewart, there's definitely injuries. We look at some of the recent wrecks we've seen on NASCAR. The guys get out, they're a little sore next week, but they're okay. So it just makes you wonder, hey, let's just stick with what we're doing here. The major leagues are NASCAR, but hey, it's easy for me to say I'm not a driver.
Well, I think what you got to look at is, I say this a lot. You look at some of the facilities that we race on, and I'm not talking just about NASCAR. I'm talking about mostly not NASCAR. When you understand when these places were built and how cars were racing and the speeds they were traveling at when the racetracks were built, you start to understand a little bit about how technology, and so it's not just horsepower, but technology has made these cars so much faster because of the grip that they get and the weight and all these different types of things that go to making them faster. Yet the racetrack was built for cars to go much slower than this. And those are the kind of things that concern me. Now, NASCAR, let's flip that around. NASCAR's done a remarkable job of retrofitting every one of their speedways with regard to safer barriers, and they have to have that technology if you're going to have a NASCAR Top 3 Series race at your speedway. And I think that's made a massive difference. I mean, I can tell you, we were just talking about this not that long ago, before Stewart's wreck, and the difference in a race car today versus even when I was racing. And I stopped racing the year that Daniel began. I mean, we raced together. That's the last race that I raced. But by the time, even then, the technology was so different than when I started. I was talking about the helmet, for crying out loud. I remember being in an open-face helmet and then what it was like to put a full-face helmet on and what it did to peripheral vision, and then what the seat does to peripheral vision and your mobility in the seat, which is very limited, by the way. And then once upon a time, our legs sort of dangled down there, and you get your feet, I had a broken foot from racing, and it's because it's slapped against the bar on the driver's side, and then the below the knee braces go a little further, and it's all about trying to reduce mobility in the seat, so that if those flips and things happen, you're really a part of the car as opposed to a passenger in the car. Now, with that comes some sacrifice. You can't get out as fast, and yours are a little more narrow, or maybe you were a little bit bigger than I used to be. Who knows? But that kind of stuff, NASCAR's always, I mean always, working on safety technology, and whether it's how you make the speedway safer, or how you make the driver safer, the car safer. Just where the driver sits. If you look at the Cup car and where the driver sits as compared to where they used to sit, there's a huge difference. Just huge difference in how far you're off the sidebars on the left side, especially, and that's a big deal because. We've lost some people, I won't name the names, over the years who, because we were sitting so far to the left, that the impact on the driver's side would cause the driver's head to actually exit the car and make contact with a wall. And so there's so many things, and I'm not sure that the Dirt Series, I know they're trying, I do. But they're also going really fast, and on speedways, they're going faster than the speedways were designed to go.
Exactly. Well, on horsepower in the car he was driving, pretty lightweight, lots of horsepower, and et cetera. So anyway, we again wish him the best and hope he gets back and gets healthy again, and I'm sure he will. Corey Heim has clinched it. I said exciting weekend at Indianapolis. It certainly was. Corey came in fourth place in the Truck Series, but that clinches the championship for him. So that's his second championship.
Regular season, yeah.
Yeah, regular season championship. So, hey, congratulations to him. Quite a driver. No telling. We may see him move up the ladder here before too long. He's a pretty young guy and a heck of a driver. So congratulations. That's 2 championships for him.
Yeah, I think I mean, I think he's definitely earned it. He's had a couple runs in the Xfinity Series, and you know, he's you can't argue with his success as a driver in the Truck Series. I mean, week in and week out, he's the guy to beat, and he's the guy to beat no matter what Cup guy goes and drives a truck.
Oh, no doubt about it. No doubt. He sure is fun to watch. There's no doubt about that. He definitely can drive for sure. Well, with that, we're going to take a break, come back and get into the Xfinity Series and talk a little bit about somebody else that's lots of fun to watch. We'll be right back. You're listening to Trackside.
Introducing the all-new tractor and outdoor power equipment section at DeLand Motorsports and Outdoors. Now you can gear up for your outdoor projects with premium brands like Bobcat, Massey Ferguson, Shindaiwa, Echo, and more. Need a powerful lawnmower for that perfectly manicured lawn? They've got it. How about a rugged tractor to tackle those big projects? DeLand Motorsports and Outdoors has you covered. And let's not forget the Lawn and Garden Center with everything from weed whackers to chainsaws. Commercial or residential, DeLand Motorsports and Outdoors has the goods to keep you moving. So why settle for ordinary when you can have extraordinary? Visit DeLand Motorsports and Outdoors today at their new location and explore the thrilling world of outdoor power equipment. DeLand Motorsports and Outdoors, where the thrill of the ride meets the power of the great outdoors. Your journey begins here.
Welcome back to Trackside as we now take a look under the hood in the NASCAR Xfinity Series presented by Daytona's Garage. Daytona's Garage offers more than just standard dealership customization. They provide a comprehensive range of services for personalizing and enhancing cars, Jeeps, and trucks of any make and model, focusing on both aesthetics and performance with affordability. Reliable service. Now, back to Terry and Randy.
Well, Randy, we've been talking lots about ratings, especially, since viewership shifting around in the Cup Series. But the Xfinity Series on CW earned 11,008,000 viewers for the race in Indy. And then the viewership peaked in the closing laps of the race to 1,333,000. So that's a big deal. But here's what's interesting, because as we know, Cup is going to now be on the USA Network. And compared to last year, 2024, and the 21st race in the Xfinity Series, which was held in Michigan, viewership was up 23% on CW. That race last year at Michigan aired on the USA Network. So that's a 6% increase this year compared to last. And if you look at the two networks, I think we talk about this a lot as well. CW has really done a great job. So my hope is, as the USA Network takes over coverage for the Cup, and we'll talk a little bit more about that when we get into the Cup ratings. But a lot of difference in Cup last year as far as USA Network and NBC, and we'll dig into that. But it definitely is making a difference, shifting around for the Cup Series, and this is good, strong stuff. And CW is doing a great job for the Xfinity Series, Randy.
Well, they are, and I know, we've talked about this a lot. Not much else to say except that, we don't know all the math, right? We don't know the math, and that this math comes with dollar signs. So,
yep.
You can only assume that the math works out better the way they're doing it than if they were doing it a different way. I think the question ends up being, in my view, are they doing an adequate job of making sure that people know where to see their races when they're kind of bouncing around the network, the network merry-go-round, and I think that's really the issue, because they've obviously made a decision for whatever reason that they have, and we presume because it's financially more beneficial. But then you've got to make sure you got to make a huge commitment to letting everybody know where they are. If I would probably do just subtle things like the schedule. I would have it broke down, and this block of races is in on this network, and this block of races is on this network, and just push the daylights out of it. Because I think if they don't, we're all creatures of habit, and we all get used to watching. We're going to go watch our program. This is where it's at. This is what time it's on. That's why they have a schedule, and it. Right now, I'm no different than anybody else. I got to figure out where the race is, and I usually am traveling back from wherever we race, either on Saturday night or Sunday. So I try to watch the Cup race in the afternoon, and I don't always know where it is, and I got to look for it. So I think that's the challenge. It's not going to be. I don't know that we're going to get them to change to one network, but we maybe can get them to do an even better job of letting people know where the races are.
Well, and again, I'd look at it from the perspective of this program. If I if I wasn't involved in the program, and I still want to watch the races, because you don't see any promotion. At least I don't. I'm not a big television watcher, but I don't see any promos running on television stations as to where the race is going to be. Being in radio for 40 years, I did learn that the human mind needs to hear a message 3.2 times to make it efficient and make them to react on it. And they're just really, you said it, they're really not doing a great job at all of informing folks of where the races are, especially because they shift around so much. But hey, like you said, we don't know the math, and we're not privileged to that. But you and I do know very well, and me especially being in radio for 40 years, that ratings equal money. And the ratings have been, kind of up and down. So, yeah, we'll watch it. But the ratings were good to see Connor Zillage get his third straight victory, as I said, in the local program, and his fifth victory overall this year. Really fun to see Dale Jr. My wife was always saying, you guys just never grow up. It's fun to see the little boy come out in Dale Jr. because he was pretty excited over the win. But here's my question, Randy, and I know I've said this before. Allgaier, the number 7, I'm a fan. So are you. Another JR Motorsports driver. The circumstances might have been completely different if Kyle Larson, a Cup driver, didn't get loose and ruin Allgaier's day. So again, I ask, is it the best policy to have the Cup drivers? Sometimes I don't understand why they're doing it. The Cup drivers down the Xfinity. I mean, any other driver could have wrecked Allgaier, but here's Larson trying to win and gets loose, takes him out, screws up today. I'm very proud of Connor Zillage and glad to see him win. Of course, glad for the 100th win for JR Motorsports, but it just raises a question, at least in my mind.
Well, that's a very tough question. Do the fans enjoy it? Well, there's a lot of people who don't. They don't enjoy it. They don't like they watch the Xfinity Series and they get the notion that a lot of these guys are trying to make that next step up. Some of them have come from the Truck Series, some of them have come from the ARCA Series, and they're trying to make their way forward. And when these guys come from Cup teams down, if you will, you're either taking a seat or you're taking a position, and a lot of the fans don't respond well to that. So I don't know. Now, I'm going to give you a different example. This week in Iowa, Carson Hocevar, who's still really early in his Cup career, is coming to the Xfinity Series to race the number 11 at Colleague Racing. So, he's a pretty young guy still, obviously, but he's racing Cup almost exclusively. He runs a truck race here or there, and now he's going to run an Xfinity race. If the 10 with Daniel and the 16 with Christian Eckes have an opportunity to learn something, from Carson Hocevar. And if that's the role that he chooses to take, then that's not a bad thing, right? But with Carson, I mean with Kyle Larson in this situation that you're referring to, it's a one-man team. I mean, they only have one car, so
right.
He's not trying to help some young ones like is going on at Colleague Racing this weekend. I don't know. I actually personally believe the reason why he was there was to try to get a little, maybe get a little vendetta, get a little bit back from Indy because of what happened, and maybe get a little bit of positive momentum going, and it worked in reverse.
Right. Well, yes, it did. No doubt about that. No doubt. And I hate to say this, Randy, but and we're going to talk a little bit more about examples here in just a minute when we talk about Austin Hill, but I'm not sure I want Daniel Dye learning from Carson Hocevar.
Well, I don't think you necessarily want him to race the same way. I don't think Daniel will do that. But the craft, meaning what he can learn about what he could teach these guys about the craft. I think maybe there's some possibility for that. I personally think probably the instincts of Christian Eckes and Daniel Dye are going to be they want to go beat him.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we'll see how it works out. I mean, I don't have any negative feelings about it specifically. I just hope that in a situation, if it's presented, that Carson recognizes that he's on a team and not the Lone Ranger.
Correct. Well, time will tell. There's no doubt about that. And, going back to Cup guys in the Xfinity Series, I mean, all guys racing, these guys are racing for a championship, and, championships mean a lot, money and all the parts and pieces, and sometimes that gets spoiled by the Cup guys being there. That's just my thought. But that being said, and you mentioned it already, Josh Williams and Colleague Racing parted ways on Wednesday. And so that puts Carson Hocevar in the number 11 this weekend at Iowa. And he certainly is an exciting race car driver. And, from my perspective, if I was a driver, if I'm Daniel, yep, that's a guy, definitely a guy I want to beat. So interesting. And speaking of interesting, lots of interesting driving with Austin Hill in the race at Indianapolis, and he gets into Eric Almirola. NASCAR says it definitely was on purpose. You and I had a conversation yesterday, and I did watch his hands when he recovered the car, but I did not pay attention to what his hands did when he hooked Almirola. But NASCAR has suspended him for the Iowa race, and he is still eligible for the playoffs, but forfeits all of the playoff points that he had earned so far. So that's definitely a stinger.
Well, here's the thing, and it's different. I mean, first off, right rearing somebody is never. I mean, it's like Terry. Let's put it this way: you've played a lot of baseball. I've played a lot of baseball. You go play a baseball game, and you're at home plate, and you got something going on with the pitcher and whatever, right? And he throws at you, and I don't know how many times you've been thrown at in your life, but I had a bunch of them thrown at me.
Yep.
But they didn't throw at your head mostly.
Right.
I mean, they threw at you, they threw at your body, but it's an unwritten rule. You don't throw at somebody's head, right? I mean, you just don't. And
they used to call it brushing you back, Randy. They were brushing us back there a little bit.
Well, they missed a few times with me. They didn't brush me back. I got knocked down. So I don't know. I guess maybe somebody didn't have the control they thought they had. But
you can't crowd the plate, Randy. You can't.
Okay, well, is that it? All right, got you. Here's the deal. So that's an absolute no. It's like, so let's go back to basketball. You get a breakaway layup, and the guy that's trying to defend you never attempts to block the ball. He just body checks you into the backboard. Okay, right. That player is vulnerable in the air, and you it's a cheap shot, right? In baseball, the batter is vulnerable, standing there waiting for a 100-mile-an-hour fastball that's supposed to hit him right in the nose. Right. That's the same thing. The most vulnerable part of a race car, when you're in the driver's seat, is the right rear part of that car. If you get hit in the right rear quarter panel of that race car, it's going to turn right into the wall. And here's what really happens: is it starts to turn right, and it spins, and it exposes the driver's side to the wall. And that's usually what happens. You hit in the right side, you turn into the racetrack, up into the wall, smack on the driver's side. And you heard Eric Almirola say this is probably the hardest hit he's ever had in his career, at least equaled the hardest hit he's ever had in his career. So you put all that stuff together, and don't forget, NASCAR has all of the data. They can see what's going on. They can see the cameras. They can see what happened. And I think if you dismiss everything I just said, RCR did not challenge.
No.
The decision.
No.
And so I think they probably did their own review. They made their own decision. And what you want to do is look. There's a lot of guys in that garage area that are great guys. When you get them away from the racetrack, they're just as much fun and easygoing and kind and caring and just great people. And sometimes in a moment, you lose your composure and your perspective. And while I would say I understand the penalty, I'm not ready to say, and I won't say, that Austin Hill intended to hurt Eric Almirola. He's been racing too long. Austin Hill knows exactly what I just said about the vulnerability of hitting somebody in the right rear. So I don't believe that he went out to try to hurt Eric Almirola. I believe he thought he got roughed up. And Eric Almirola admitted that Austin was in his way, and he was trying to get him out. Yep, he said it. He didn't deny it.
Right.
And then Austin, instead of retaliating in a more safe way, he didn't think it through.
Well, two things there. I kind of looked through Austin Hill's record, and he doesn't have a great record. He's done a lot of these things, same style of thing. And you wouldn't believe it, but I checked it 3 or 4 times. The section of the wall that Almirola hit did not have safer barrier there. It's a concrete wall. So it's fortunate. And based on Austin Hill's record, and I'm a real Richard Childress fan, some of Richard Childress' comments right after the race, it should have been 3 race suspension instead of 1. Matter of fact, Randy, I wanted a side note because I know you know RC and golly, RC's record with Dale, all of that. But you can see the frustration. As a matter of fact, after the race at Dover, where Kyle Busch finished 11th, behind Joe Gibbs Racing and Hendrick, he made a statement. RC made a statement. We've got to get some race cars. Period. Was his statement. So his grandsons, nothing against his family, but they have not turned out to be, I think, the last 3 years, like a 28th, a 29th, and I think he's 28th or 29th right now with Austin. They haven't had great success. And you put a driver like Kyle Busch in the 8, it makes you wonder, wait a minute, maybe it's not the drivers. So this statement, he made the statement, we got to get some race cars, period. What are you thinking? I mean, is RCR
Well,
in trouble, or what's going to happen here?
I don't know they're in trouble, but I know that they hold themselves to a high standard in the competition side, and I think what you're seeing out of Richard Childress in RCR in general is, hey, we're not living up to who we are. We're not living up to our legacy, and we're not living up to what we should be doing right this minute. And I think that's I think that's evident. I think it's frustrating to Richard Childress. I mean, that guy's got fire in his belly for competition. You know, he is not he's not a status quo kind of guy. Never about anything. So I would say, it's just simply they're not living up to who they are, and I think more than that, they don't know what to fix. That's the other part. They don't know what to fix.
Right. We wish him the best. Definitely a fan, and we'll see what happens. Like you just said, he's got fire. He's not down yet. He'll figure out something. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we got a lot more to cover. So let's roll into the Cup section of the program.
UniFirst presents Conversation about the NASCAR Cup Series, the pinnacle in auto racing. Just like Cup, UniFirst is also the leader of the pack as the uniform and facility service experts. Let's go back to our hosts, Randy and Terry.
Randy, we talk ratings again. I want to touch back on this for a second. As far as the Cup Series, TNT did have their biggest audience of the season at the Brickyard with 2.45 million. But the comparison in last year's race, which was on NBC, at 3.63 million. So we're, almost a million difference because people don't know where to find the race.
What do you want me to say? I mean, I agree. I mean, I think I spent a big part of this saying, yeah, it is what it is, and they just got to do a better job of getting people over there. I also, for me, I feel like it challenges the regulars, and then it kind of it's if you're a first timer and you want to watch NASCAR Indy, and you're gonna go say, hey, you're a NASCAR fan. What network is the race on? And you don't know,
right?
It hurts.
Right. Well, I just keep pounding on it because I remember quite a few years back we were always talking about, I wish we could have trucks on dirt, and somehow it happened. So I'm just hoping somebody hears it and we get it fixed. Meanwhile, we mentioned that Bubba won. I don't know. I should know how many races he ran without a win in the Cup Series, but he wins at Indy. He did a great job at Indy. He had a really fast car at Indy. And an interesting thing is that Denny Hamlin is a car owner there. So Bubba gets to kiss the bricks, and so does Denny Hamlin. And speaking of Denny Hamlin, he has signed an extension with Joe Gibbs Racing. Denny Hamlin ranks 11th of all time. He has 58 Cup victories. 700 of his career starts have been with JGR. 706 of his starts, always with JGR in the number 11. So congratulations to both of those guys. Hamlin's not a young guy. Still, he's got 4 wins this year so far, and fourth in the overall point standings. So the guy keeps hanging in there, and had signed an extension with Joe Gibbs Racing.
Well, you think about it, and you got Denny Hamlin, and you have Christopher Bell. You got the 19 with oh my gosh, I'm going blank. Chase Briscoe, and let's see who am I looking? Oh, and then of course you got Ty Gibbs, and
right. 54.
Yep. So you got 3 relatively young guys, and then you have Denny Hamlin, who is clearly, a senior spokesperson. Now, and I'm saying that in the sense of the race craft itself. I think Denny could do himself and the sport some favors by maybe changing the narrative that he talks about. But in terms of being a racer, I mean, it's pretty impressive. And oh, by the way, his own race was pretty doggone good. And remember, he wiped out a car in qualifying there.
Right.
So that's that's confidence. I mean, he didn't run the race with some sort of, oh my, I can't spin out again. He went out there and raced. So I think he has a lot to offer with the maturing of drivers to try to help them get to that. I mean, 50-odd wins is a Hall of Fame career, even though he's never won a championship.
Right. Which is amazing in itself. He's come close,
kind of
but not done it.
It's a little bit of a Mark Martin kind of story, right? And I'm not telling you he won't. I'm not saying he won't win a championship. But I think what you see by that extension is it's not just about driving the race car. It's about the value that he has to a young driver organization.
You bet. It definitely sets an example. I'm not a huge Denny Hamlin fan, but he you got to give it to him, and you hit it on the head. He's a great example. In the last minute we've got here, a press release just got NASCAR will not return to Mexico City in 2026. They couldn't get the schedule worked out. Soccer has taken precedent over those dates. So looking at 2027, still trying to work out what might happen in the Chicago street race. But meanwhile, in 2026, they will not go to Mexico City. But, Randy, they're going to go to Chicagoland. So they're going back there, and we'll see what happens. You just never know what might happen. And obviously, NASCAR wants to race internationally, so we'll see what happens in 27. They indicate that they're going to try to work that out. So, hey, interesting. Not going to be there. Chicagoland will be the racetrack of choice in 2026.
There's a lot of people who wanted to go back there, so we'll see. It's one place I haven't been. Hard for me to even imagine there's any place I haven't been anymore. But that's one place I haven't been. So I look forward to being able to make the trip. Enjoyed our time in Chicago. Didn't particularly like the way we raced, but I'll look forward to seeing the racetrack and being there next year.
Absolutely. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as I said earlier, New Smyrna will be racing this weekend, so get out and see some racing. And all the best to all the guys and you, Randy, in Iowa. And ladies and gentlemen, we sure appreciate you being here. We'll see you next week right here on Trackside.
See you at the racetrack, everybody.
And with the checkered flag waving, we're wrapping up this week's edition of Trackside. Fear not, race fans, because we'll be back next week, proudly presented by Document Technologies. Tune in for a fresh new episode packed with engaging interviews, captivating conversations, and all the exhilarating moments you've come to expect. Until then, keep the racing spirit alive, and we'll see you next time on Trackside.